Welcome to the Accidental Business Owner podcast, the show that lifts the lid on what it really takes to grow, scale and successfully exit your business without losing your sanity, soul or savings. Real stories, raw lessons, proven strategies. Let's dive into this week's episode. Hello and welcome to the Accidental Business Owner podcast. I'm Jay Allen, your host, and today we're joined by Amanda Daniels-Allen. Now, why have I introduced Amanda to the programme? Why am I bringing her into the podcast? What are we going to talk about today? Well, I'm delighted to be able to share that about a year ago now, you ventured off into this journey to be able to qualify as a Sacred Money Archetype practitioner. And having been on that journey with you, having been one of the beta testers when you first qualified, and now subsequently attended your Money Magic retreat, it was incredibly important that I brought you into the podcast because of the value I got from that and the value that I want other people to be able to get from it also. So, Amanda, thanks very much for joining us on the podcast today. Perhaps you can tell us just a little bit about who you are prior to all of that, because you've been on in series 1, but that was wearing a different hat.
True. Thank you for having me on today. So I am a magnetic business mentor, and I work with conscious business owners, conscious disruptors, I'm calling them now, people who are here to make a difference in the world, make an impact, and actually want to leave and live a legacy. And those people don't do business in the same way. So when I came on the podcast the first time, I really focused on customer journey and being a customer journey specialist, which I still specialise in now with regards to the marketing element of what I do. However, since stepping into the Sacred Money Archetype work, it has changed the game significantly. And I want to be able to show people how they can make money in a way that feels good, natural, in their own way, and not have to be like, copy somebody else, and not be who they are. Because the people that I work with want to be more of themselves, and they've been hiding for such a long time. They've been trying and pretending and wearing masks and doing all the things that everybody's telling them to do, and it just doesn't fit, it just doesn't stick. And they now want to be themselves even more. So yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Thanks. Now, one of the things that has really struck me, certainly from doing the money work with you, like I say, as a beta tester when you were first qualifying, and then subsequently coming to your money retreat, which we're going to dive into in a second or two. But one of the things that really struck me, and something that you've mentioned to me on more than one occasion, us Brits don't really get talking about money, do we? We're not very good at doing it, and you've recognised that from perhaps a non-British perspective, and said, I can't understand why it is that if there's this thing that we all either need or want or have, and yet we've got such an uncomfortability about either talking about it or being open about it or transparent about it or having those conversations, then how on earth is it possible that we're ever going to be able to make any moves towards being able to learn how to be able to have a better relationship with it and make more of it or make it work better for us if we don't subsequently understand the dynamics in here and how that's translating to who we are and what we do. And I guess that's what you now do to help people, is not only client profile and customer journey type stuff, but to understand as to how they make money or their own money journey, and how that then influences who they are and what they do and how they do it.
Well, it's an interesting dynamic. So I'm Bermudian from birth. I lived there till I was 10, moved to the UK. My mum's British, my dad is Bermudian. And what I've noticed, not even just since doing the Sacred Money Archetype work, what I've noticed since being in business, I've been in business 19 years this year, which makes me feel all grown up. However, what I've noticed specifically in the last year is that British people don't like talking about money. It's so taboo. It's so like hush hush. making them feel really squirmy, uncomfortable. It's not something that we do. It's not something that's anybody else's business, which is fine. I get that. And I never really, unless you work with me one-to-one, I need to know your ins and outs. But, unless that happens, then I don't need to know that. However, what I do know to be true is that because I work globally, I work with British, Bermudian, American clients, the people on the other side of the pond deal with money in a very different way. And there's a quote by Zig Ziglar, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but it's around about people pretending that they don't need money, but money's like oxygen. We need it every single day, especially in this climate, in this world that we live in right now. But people pretend that they either have it, they pretend that they don't need it, they pretend all of the different things, and actually repel money away from themselves because of the pretense that they have and the keeping up with the Joneses, or things like not wanting to talk about money, not wanting to ask for the sale, not wanting to talk about their fees and the investment to work with them. Like it's so like inside they're cringing, and it's painful for them to say it out loud. And I do this because I see a lot of people I work with, they end up touching themselves, like, because they're really uncomfortable, and they don't really know what to do about it. They know that they want to make more. There's a lot of people out there who want to be millionaires. Some people just want to make 4 figures. Some people want to make 6. Some people want to make 10. And there is no right or wrong. It's understanding what you want, knowing what you're capable of, and actually starting where you need to start instead of trying to be something that you're not. But at the same time, the British population are very kind of, let's not talk about it.
Yes, it's very much a tongue-in-cheek, almost, stiff upper lip type thing. Yeah. That it's one of those things, money and politics are the two things that we should never, ever, ever discuss behind. And religion, of course. And yet there is so much importance, particularly in business, to not only have that conversation, but to be comfortable in being able to do so. So perhaps before we actually get into this money retreat that you've run and the impact that had on the people that were there, like I say, it was what's prompted me to be able to invite you onto the podcast, because of the value that I got from it, and that I saw other people on the retreat also. But before we get into that, perhaps you can just give us a brief history with regards to what on earth is a sacred money archetype?
Okay, so a sacred money archetype is a framework or an energetic personality type, so to speak. So we all have a different way of working. We all have a different way of being. We all have a different energy. So you and I know that we can go to networking events, walk into a room, meet somebody that we've never met before, and feel this kind of like lean back, like, I'm not sure what this person's about, but I don't like them. They haven't said anything, they haven't done anything. But we have this repulsion around people, and we also have magnetism towards people. And I think some of the things that people don't realise is that the difference between those two things is how they actually do business and how they can actually call in more money. So the sacred money archetypes is 8 altogether, and each of them move in a different way. So you've got the nurturer. The nurturer is the person who gives absolutely everything that they possibly can, all the value, all the stuff, time, money, energy, knowledge, whatever they have, they give it to the other people. But it's also to the detriment of those people. Those people can't actually look after themselves or do things themselves. Those people then automatically take and expect and want and demand from the nurturer. And the nurturer then feels a little bit like overwhelmed, burnt out, unacknowledged, unseen, and we all have all of the 8 archetypes in us. However, based on our history, our life experience, our upbringing, what people have said to us around money, and not said to us around money, is all a combination of how we move with money. So there's a nurturer, and then you've got the maverick. So the maverick is the opposite end of the scale. The maverick is the type of person who will take the risks, they will spend the money with the unknown, like they live in the unknown. They will do everything that they possibly can to do stuff differently. They are the lightning bolt. They are the you can feel a maverick walk in the room. They are the rule breakers. Don't tell them what to do because they'll do the complete opposite, right? You know the type. Like we all have either a maverick in our family, close friends, or in we see them in business world. Even if we're not working with them, you can see the big coaches and the the big brands who are mavericks in business, and they are the type of people who will burn everything down. And what I mean by that is they will try all of these new things, and if it doesn't matter, if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. So they set fire to it. It's like phoenixing. They set fire to it and start again, go again, go again, go again. But they also do that to the detriment of themselves as well. So there are those who are more caring and understanding, and then there are those who are more dominant, like the ruler, the empire builder. They are here to build an empire. They're the type of people who don't tell them that they can't do it. They'll be like, watch me, watch what I can do. But their downfall, their shadow, is that they will keep going. So if you ever know of somebody who is the type of person who does something amazing and then keeps going, doesn't accept, doesn't acknowledge or celebrate the fact that they've just done something amazing, they've just moved on to the next, move on to the next, move on to the next. And with a ruler, they'll burn themselves out in a different way to what a nurturer will. So they're all different.
It's fascinating because as you're speaking about this, almost people's names or experiences that I've had are coming to mind. Oh, that reminds me of X, or that reminds me of... So we've got all 8 within us, but some are more prominent than others.
Yes.
Some are more comfortable to us than others. And you've mentioned shadows. So for every positive experience we can have by being a nurturer, there's also a shadow side to that also that, like you say, can be at risk of burnout because they've given too much type thing. Yeah, so it's not always burnout, depending on which archetype. They do things in different ways, So let's say, for example, the celebrity, their shadow. And what I mean by shadow is it's just the more unwanted side of them. See. Yeah.
It's the nurturer will end up feeling like resentful towards people, and they'll become a martyr because they're giving all of this stuff to other people, and these people aren't seeing them and acknowledging them and understanding them, and then they get really frustrated and annoyed, and they lose faith in the world and faith in other people. Whereas the celebrity, they will spend and spend and spend and spend money to keep up with the Joneses. But then when people don't acknowledge or see them as the same stature as them, they will be put out and they will do things to the detriment of themselves and to other people. So there's what I mean by shadows is it's the negative side of where we actually want to be. And self-sabotage, it's the stuff that stops us from getting us to where we want to go. And it's then understanding, okay, well, if these are my top 3 archetypes and I understand them, how do I move in the world, in my life, in my business, with clients, knowing that this is how I earn money, this is how I either lean into it or remove myself away from it. So yeah, there's lots of different things to think about when it comes to how you move. And I think when we do any kind of personality testing and understand a little bit more about ourselves, it makes us feel seen, heard, and accepted in our own self-acceptance, never mind anybody else's. But then we can go, okay, if that's not how I make money, that's how these coaches are telling me this is how you make 6 figures and, you put one post out and you're a millionaire or whatever. It doesn't work. And people are getting a little bit sick and tired of trying all of these different things that don't work. It's frustrating, annoying. Because,
I'm somewhat older than yourself, and back in the day I qualified in DISC and I went through DISC profiling, and then I went on to learn all of this stuff about Myers-Briggs and the Myers-Briggs assessments to understand psychometric profiling and the likes. And, we encourage people to be able to understand their own style or their own character strengths and weaknesses, and then perhaps of your management team, and then as you grow as a business, the other key people within the business that we've spoken about on numerous other podcasts. More recently, we've heard about this Jungian archetypes, and I've learned a little bit about that, although I've not delved into it. And then a couple of years ago, I started to learn this or hear this stuff on the in the world, in the business world around human design. And now there's this money archetype thing. I guess there's a whole host of different things that we ought to be aware of with regards to how it makes us all unique and bespoke and individuals. But understanding what that is then allows us to be able to give credence to, so that's why I've done what I've done the way I've done it. That's why I've done it different to the way that they've done it. And predominantly why it's so important that when we're on social media or we're online or we're being barraged by all of those different ads and the likes, to be able to filter the lens of just do one post like this and it'll make you a millionaire because it did for me. And looking through the filtered lens of, but what's their archetype, what's their background, what's their experience, what's their connections, what's their social circle, what's their money talk or money language, to understand all of those filters of influence the end result, and then recognizing through those filters, so how do I learn to do, or how do I learn to achieve what they achieved, but by doing it my way rather than selling your soul to the devil, as I call it.
Exactly. And I think that's where people come a cropper in business, is that I live by a quote by Bruce Lee, have done since I was 18 when I started martial arts. And the quote is, accept what is useful, reject what is useless, and add what is specifically your own. And what that means is accept what is useful to you. Like, not everything that somebody says, be it husband, partner, friend, coach, is useful. Sometimes it just doesn't land. And there are people out there that take every word that their coach or their mentor or whoever says verbatim, instead of questioning and saying, well, does that fit for me? Is that the energy? Is that the vibe that I want to put it out there as?
It's like a cut and paste as opposed to a
instead
swipe
of like,
and deploy.
yeah, because people are starting to not think for themselves. They think that these people have all the answers, and they do. They have answers, but we have to look at ourselves and go, well, is that the answer for me? Is that something that I want to do? Is that something that is right for my business and how I want to put myself out there in the world? And so accept what is useful, reject what is useless, and actually say to yourself, if this thing doesn't work, this is how I do it. If this thing doesn't work for me, then I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to use it. Am I doing it because everybody else has got one? Or am I doing it because this is part of who I am and the business that I'm building, the legacy that I'm here for, the purpose that I'm wanting to live, and the impact that I want to make, or not? There are things in business that drain the heck out of you, yet people still do it because they're told that it's the right thing. But if it's not the right thing, energy's energy. Remember what I said right at the beginning.
Those people that felt really uncomfortable dancing on TikTok because somebody had told them to do so.
And when we're networking and we meet that person who just doesn't feel right, it's energy. Yeah. And if it's off, it's off. It's not that they've said or done anything. It's just off. So say to yourself, if this thing, be that marketing, the way I'm putting myself out there, the offer that I've got, if it doesn't feel right, then it's off. Like, trust the intuition. And then the last piece is accept what is add what's specifically your own. So that is the way in which you go, okay, well, if my human design for me is a manifester, if my Sacred Money Archetype is an alchemist, if my Jungian archetype is a sage, if my blah, 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 and just sit with yourself and go, okay, well, how do I want to do this thing? But so many people are kind of like looking at everybody out there who's successful and doing whatever they're doing, but actually it's not going to work for them because it's not who they are.
Yeah, the cut and paste doesn't necessarily paste that well.
Yeah.
I want to quickly pick up on something that you've just mentioned, and it's a nice segue into the money retreat that you ran a couple of months ago now, because you invited a small group of business owners to be able to come and join you for a day at something that you've called Money Magic. to be able to learn more about their archetype and how to be able to move with money more successfully, as I learnt on that day, to have a better relationship with it, and for it to have a more comfortable relationship with us. And one of the things that I was just blown away by is you've taken the time not only to be able to put on an exceptional retreat. It was a real delight to spend some time both with you and other people in an incredible environment that you held space in for us. But by the application process, by the onboarding process of each person that had been there, you knew their archetype before they arrived on the day. That the entire day and the content that was being delivered, you had a message that you wanted to be able to share with us, but it was delivered in such a way that, and this is how an archetype will receive this information, this is what you would need to know, that you tailored the entire day's worth of content specific to the money archetypes that were in the room.
Yeah.
And I've never seen that done before. How you were able to hold space for a group of people that had never met before and didn't know each other before, from a different environment, from a different background, from a different business, from different sizes and geographies and cultures, but also from different archetypes and different people's perception of money and how they show up with it in the world. And then to take them through a program that not only was intuitive and helpful on the day, but tailored to your question, but your question comes from your second archetype, and this is how this is playing out for you in the world. But for you, this is how it would play. This is how this question would play out for you as a alchemist or as a ruler. Or the whole day was so tailored to the people in the room that not only did we get some incredible content, but the content was so specific to the person that was there and asking that question at the time. Can you help me to understand a little bit around the intent or the intent behind Money Magic and how that came to be and what's happening in the future? Because that can't be a solo event. That was just phenomenal.
Thank you. Well, thank you, number one, for being one of the first to come to that retreat. I've never run a money retreat before. And yeah, it came from the back of delivering a seminar in Bermuda. So we went to Bermuda and we delivered Fusion to Bermudian business owners, and it was phenomenal. We received a lot of welcome, a lot of press. We were on TV, radio, all different kinds of things. It was fabulous. And off the back of that, I thought, one of the things that people really struggle with is money. Like everybody is caught up with how much content can I create, and now AI, how much more content can I create, because they think that amplifying a message and saying the same thing is actually going to get them the business, when in actual fact that's not how it works. You have to say a message that actually attracts people to you, not teaches them how to do something that makes them move away from you. Does that make sense? So Money Magic, and the whole point of that was, because I see people getting caught up in the content and the message and the audience, those things are really important. However, they're still not asking for the sale. So just because you're doing marketing doesn't mean that you're going to get the sale. There's what I call no man, woman land in between marketing and sales. There's that space where you have to go, I would love to work with you. It could look as simple as that. I would love to work with you, and is that something that you'd like to do? Is that something that you're interested in? And there's many different ways in which I teach my clients how to do that. However, one of the things that Money Magic was there to do was to talk about money in a safe environment where people were okay to talk about what they want to do in the world, how much money they want to... Like, some people shared massive goals in front of people that they didn't know and had never met before.
Yeah.
And I think that in itself is a testament to the space that was given to the people that were there and feeling safe to do so. But also the whole point of it is to say to you, if you don't have a relationship with money, and what I mean by that is if you don't talk about it, and if you don't ask for it, if you don't have that relationship where you're looking at it on a weekly basis, not necessarily daily. You don't have to look at your bank account all the time. But if you're acknowledging, excuse me, that you want to make money in a way that's good for you, I call it good money, which is a different conversation. But if you want to make good money in a way that feels aligned and how you do business, then you can. And it was showing everybody that how you do it is different to how you do it. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, yeah, that is what I do. That is how I move.
It was quite fascinating because it was just as important for me to be able to listen to other people's story as they were kind enough and open and felt willing to be able to share that taboo of, you know, our beliefs around money, and to understand other people's relationship with it. And then, you know, my realization and breakthrough moment on that day was to acknowledge that I wasn't investing in a relationship with money. I was happy to be able to utilize it. I was using it as a tool, but I didn't have a great relationship with it. I just expected it to be there. Well, if we take, you know, that exercise, I don't want to take the surprise away from people that perhaps get the opportunity to be able to do so. But the exercise that you did, where we built up this emotional picture, and then you changed something, and I went, oh my God! I felt physically sick that I'd failed to invest in a relationship that was so important to me that I almost felt the need to like pull my wallet out and apologise to the inside of it, and say, look, things are going to get better. And for me, things certainly have got better as a direct result of what I learnt on that day and the implementation since. Hence the reason that I wanted to have you here today, to say, one, thank you, to help me to understand that if I want to have a better relationship with something, then I've got to invest some time and effort and consideration in it. I've got to have a better emotional connection to it in order to attract more of it to me. So please tell me it wasn't a flash in the pan pop-up event, that the feedback that you got from the event was sufficient to consider doing it again?
Well, the feedback that we got from the event, I got from the event, was phenomenal. Testimonials everybody gave at the end were very tear-jerking, like, for me, because I wanted to make it so inspirational, but also something that stays with you, because we go to many of these events and as soon as you walk out the door, it's kind of like,
done
next, like, move on kind of thing. And even just before I came to the podcast, I had one of the delegates, just emailed me saying, this is happening and this is happening, and I've stepped away from, like, she's moved away from her business partner because it wasn't working. They don't look at money in the same way that she does, and blah, blah, blah. Like, massive changes are happening for people. And so I have decided that I'm running it again on the 18th and 19th of March 2026, venue to be confirmed. It's going to happen in the Northwest. I don't know whether to do it at the same place, but because we're having more people, it might need to happen somewhere else. So people have already invested, people have already bought their tickets, which is great. And this time, instead of just doing a one-day retreat, it's a one-day retreat and then a mastermind. So day 2 is we're going to have speakers. I'm going to be talking about asking for the sale. We're going to talk about pricing. We're going to talk about knowing your numbers. We're going to talk about money and numbers, because so many people don't get it. And it's not a case of turning into and becoming an accountant. It's understanding, how does this work for me and with me? How do we work together in partnership so that our business, because your business is an entity in itself. That's what I believe. So if you can work with your business in partnership and money in partnership, then only good things can come from that. So day 1 is the retreat. Day 2 is a mastermind. So after the speakers, which will be in the morning, this is my vision. And I still haven't asked the speakers yet, but I will. So in the morning we'll have the speakers, and then in the afternoon we'll have a mastermind on questions and, you know, that kind of thing. So that you're not just embodying the stuff and having an amazing day, but you're actually practically working out how you can put this into your business. Because the people who have done the money work with me, my 6-month program with me, have significantly changed not only the perspective on money, which is kind of like talking it down really, but they have changed their bank balances. They have changed their relationship. They are now magnetic. You know, I get messages, oh my gosh, I'm so magnetic, this has happened, these clients are coming towards me, this is like, I've said no to this. You know, some people are saying no more to clients that they don't want to work with versus having to take the money because they need it. So 18th, 19th of March.
And for those of you who are going to be watching this podcast for long into the future, after that date, I'm hoping that this is going to just continue to roll out and continue to be part of your arsenal.
Yeah, so I have a massive dream of running a conference all about money.
Well, you're hearing it here first, guys, because this is all new.
So I've already envisioned it. I know where it's going to be held. I know, you know, what people are going to be at my side helping me with this. It's going to be 50 to 80 people, which doesn't sound massive. You know, I'm not necessarily here to have a Tony Robbins, like 10,000 people in a room event, but I still want to make it transformative at the same time as make it something that people not only remember, but can genuinely take forth into their business. Because there are so many things, as I said, that we go to, and it's kind of like, next, now what? I've learned that, now what? But I want this to be different, and it is different.
What I've liked so much about today's interview, and the fact that you've come back, thank you very much for doing so, but how you've tied these two very significantly different things together, that acknowledging that it's all right, you know, putting content out there and trying to attract the right customers, but in actual fact, if you haven't got the right relationship with the money that they have in their wallets, then in actual fact, that transition from becoming a friend or a follower and asking for the sale and then being comfortable with being able to handle the money that is being transferred and having a better relationship with it, that it feels more comfortable in hanging around with you. You've bridged that gap so nicely, and so you've segued from one into the other and back again to be able to create a magnetic attraction of the right people to attract good money to do good work.
Yes.
And I like the fact that, you know, you've taken these two significantly different things. Okay, they both start with the letter M, with marketing and money, but beyond that, recognise that there was a need that, despite doing good in one, that perhaps people still needed to be able to address the other. And you can now move from one to the other and back again and support people to be able to attract more customers, but also the right customers, spending the right amount of money in the right manner.
Yeah.
That when we receive it, we know what to do with it and how to be more appreciative of it.
Yeah, because it's not, you know, there's a lot of people out there that will tell you, just double your prices, just do this. But when it's not congruent inside you, people can feel energy going right back to the beginning. I keep saying it, when we meet somebody and it feels off, it's because it's energy. It's not because they've done something. It's because we already feel it, right?
That magnetism or detraction.
Or repulsion, reflection.
Yeah.
We already feel it. So why aren't we tapping into that? Why aren't we understanding that actually, if we already feel that way about someone, something, or money itself, then it could actually feel exactly the same way about us. You know, if you feel like that against money, if you feel like it's the root of all evil, it's only made for bad people are the only people who attract it and keep hold of it, or whatever your story is, as long as you believe that, that will be true. Your wish is its command. It's like, you know, our thoughts become our beliefs become our actions. You know, there's a quote there, isn't there, that I've shared with you a couple of times. But the point is that the relationship with money isn't actually anything to do with money. It's all to do with yourself. It's all to do with how you value you. And being able to ask for a £10,000 client, $10,000 client, $20,000 client without grimacing or allowing that weird energy to leak out, because you have no control over that, right?
Sure.
When it goes out, you have no control. It's kind of like that people can smell desperation from people.
Yep.
It's the same thing, right?
Yep.
So if you say a fee, and inside you're kind of like, oh my God, I hope that they say yes, and they can feel it.
Sure.
People can feel it.
It's attached to that.
Yeah.
To those words.
Yeah. So there's congruence with money. There's congruence with energy. There's congruence with business. Well, I think there should be. There should be more congruence with business, and I think that you work with ethical people. I work with conscious people who are here to make an impact in the world, even if it's one mind or person at a time. We're not doing it for doing its sake. We're doing it because we've got something to live and leave behind.
Absolutely so. Amanda, it's been fabulous to have you on again today. I'm hoping that with news of a conference in the wings, that you'd consider coming back and sharing some more with us, perhaps closer to the time about that and what else is happening in your world. For those people that have got some value from us today, and I'm strongly hopeful that you've seen that there is so much more that we as British people particularly needs to understand about the dynamics of the internal dialogue that we have around money and investment and fees and the likes, that needs to be talked about and considered and reviewed and revised in order to be able to have a better relationship with it and attract more of it to us. If people have got something from today and wants to be able to learn more about it, where would they start? We're going to put something in the show notes to be able to know exactly where to find you. What should they be typing into Google or whichever platform that they use in order to be able to move along that journey and find out a little bit more, please?
Well, they can either go to my website, which is Koogar, spelled KOOGAR.co.uk, and then /matrix. They can go and find out which Sacred Money Archetype they are. They have to fill in some questions, from a place of truth, not a place of what they want it to be, but, answer honestly. And then once you fill that in, it will send you an email to say these are your top 3 archetypes. These are some things that you want to think about. And then from there, you can either have a reading, you can work with me, one-to-one. But there is something happening, waiting in the wings, that I'm merging the 2 things together.
Oh, wow.
Which I can't really talk about right now, but...
there's the teaser, guys. There's the teaser.
Yeah. So, but they're specifically for each archetype. And how each archetype can do business.
Wow.
And marketing. So that's
fascinating.
That's all I can say right now.
Okay. Amanda, we talk about energy, so I'm going to do this and say sincerest of thanks for being able to come and join us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to be able to talk a little bit more about, one, the money work that you've been doing, but 2, to be able to share just a brief snippet with regards to my gratitude for that space that you held in Money Magic. And the impact it's had on my business in the next 8 weeks or so from returning from that retreat, and therefore encourage other people to be able to, one, connect with you, do this matrix reading, cougar.co.uk/matrix, I think you said, answer some questions and to at least find out what your money archetype is, to understand a little bit more about how best to be able to move in the world. God bless, take care. Thanks very much. And we'll be back again next week with another Accidental Business Owner podcast. God bless, take care. I'll see you again soon. Thanks for tuning in to the Accidental Business Owner podcast with me, Jay Allen. If today's episode sparked a thought, challenged your thinking, or gave you a new tool to grow smarter, share it, rate it, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a moment of transformation. God bless, take care, and I'll see you again next week.